Hey Eduardo, how you doing? This is going to be my walkthrough of the game. Before I get started, I just wanted to say thank you for all your nice comments here that you said on the gameplay analysis, or not analysis, sorry, on the gameplay that I did last time. When you said that you and a friend played this game, I was so happy. I showed it to like everyone. I was like, oh my god, look, someone actually played my game, and apparently they actually liked it. I was so happy. So, not to mention this right here is pretty sweet. So thank you very much for the nice comments you said, and it really gave me the motivation to actually go a little further and try to do a little more, even if it didn't really turn out to be that much more visually. But I'm going to show you through this walkthrough that there actually is a lot of stuff that is added to the game that just didn't really show up visually on the surface, but it's in there. I'm going to pretty much go through my document for the most of this. I know you probably have to listen to a ton of these things, so I'm going to try to keep it as quick as possible, although I know I can kind of go on a rant when it comes to these types of things. So I think the best way to do this is to play the game. But I'm going to start off with just saying that after that gameplay analysis, or sorry, I keep calling it that, after that gameplay submission, I did a complete overhaul on it. Everything was such a mess. The only way that game actually functioned was everything was brute forced. I was grabbing functions. I didn't know how I was grabbing functions. I was basically Googling everything, just throwing in function after function until it finally worked. Everything was a mess. It was just, it was brutal. So expanding on it was impossible. It wasn't scalable at all. So I decided to I took a little online course, learned a lot more about Unity, how to kind of do it properly, and I figured, okay, I can do this from scratch now. What I didn't realize was that even if you know the proper stuff, Unity still takes forever, or at least it does for me. So this is a complete overhaul, actually. If you can see, like Assailment was the old one, and this is the new one. So it's just a complete brand new game from scratch. So I guess I'll get into the game. Hopefully the music won't be too loud, but hey, there's music. Okay, so here we go. We got Assailment. First of all, you're greeted with this title screen, which of course we didn't have before. What we had before was just the actual game screen. Bam, you're in, play, kill each other. So now we've got a nice little splash screen. I like the imaging. Obviously, I've had some people say that they like it. I've had other people say they don't like it. I've had other people probably just lie about it. But I think it looks cool and it's fine. And so then of course you got a start button and you got a quit button. Quit will quit. Start goes in. When you click start, I'm not sure if you can hear that, but there is a little sound effect that plays. Just adds a little something to it. Now, there's a game mode screen. Essentially, this is to be used later. Right now, there is just 1v1 because there's only 2 characters. However, I did mess around a little bit with adding one more character, so 1 versus 1 versus 1. And it worked. It actually, because of the system changes I've made, the game is like completely scalable. All I have to do is basically make one more player selection screen, which we'll get to soon, and it actually will work. The thing is, though, that I was getting small amounts of bugs here and there, probably from just like a misplaced function where I'm just not carrying a value through. And I didn't want to jeopardize the functionality of the game, which is actually very smooth right now. So I just left it 1 versus 1, and let's continue. Here's where the game kicks off. So player 1, choose your class. So this is basically saying player 1, choose your class. It's not saying that when you click a class, you're going to have to use that class's controls. No, no, no. Player 1 controls are W, A, S, and D, and the abilities are F and C. Doesn't matter if I pick the mage or I pick the warrior, those abilities, that character will be mapped to those keys. So I'm going to select the mage. Player 2 now gets the choice, and like I said with the player 2 as well, those player 2's controls will be mapped to the arrow keys and keypad 0 and keypad 1. Doesn't matter if it picks the mage or it picks the warrior. Those controls will be the same, much more analogous to that of a gaming system that we'd be used to playing to. And one more huge feature is you are not constrained to playing warrior versus mage. I could have picked warrior on the other screen, and I picked mage, and I can pick mage again here. For the sake of diversity, I will pick warrior, but I will come back to mage later, which is actually, in my opinion, the funnest. Okay, so I picked warrior, so player 1 picked mage, player 2 picked warrior, and now we get to pick a map. I have 2 maps so far, however these are very, very scalable. The maps are pretty much copy-paste, change the background, change the platforms, and add in different functionalities. but for the most part, I have made it in such a way that I can pretty much just duplicate the map screen and then just change a few things. And it's very easy to make maps. I did just make 2 for now though, because I frankly didn't see the point of making more than 2. We'll be lucky if we're stay entertained enough to even play through 1 map. So I will pick this map over here. Actually, I'll pick this map over here. I like this one, it's darker and cool. So right away we get into the game, and the first thing you see is the art style. A little different from before, obviously, and has been through the entire game. You can see that I kind of went with a more realistic backing. When I first started making the game, like I said, it was my remake, so I was thinking, oh yeah, this is going to be awesome, everything's going to fit, it's going to be so legit and so cool. Yeah, it didn't happen. Basically got everything working, but, oh geez, it is just so much work, and I wasn't able to update the animations or update the art style to something that was more fitting with it. However, in my opinion, and this is not just a defense, I do feel as though the contrast of your animated characters against the real backdrop, it's not that bad. I think it's kind of cool to an extent. I don't agree that it's ideal, but I think it's kind of cool. Okay, away from the visuals of it all, bam, player 1, player 2. Player 1 will always start on the left side, and like I said, player 1 will always be bouncing these controls. So even though I'm bouncing with the mage right now at WASD, if I picked warrior, warrior would be over here. And with player 2 on the right side, of course, as well. I have added in additional animations. As you can see, there is now finally a jump animation for the mage and also a jump animation for the warrior. There are platforms. I did away with the moving platforms. They got so buggy and they were so pointless, and they didn't do anything that was really gameplay interesting. When I do go further and I add more effects to the actual game itself, more gameplay aspects, I want to make more interesting gameplay effects, like buff on the right side of the map, or danger zones, but frankly, a moving platform is kind of boring and there's nothing really interesting about it, so I just did away with them and made some more interesting map layouts like this, which can actually prove to be pretty fun. Okay, so you have your player 1, you have your player 2, and of course, you can take damage. So here's what's cool. So once you get him just pounding him with frostbolts, he will die, and his lives go down by 1 if you missed that. I should have said it before I did it. And then, but what's different about this, the game doesn't just restart as it did before. Now what happens is the player will respawn and gets another life. So it's 3 lives, and as soon as you run out of all 3 lives, then you lose. So here's going to die again, and his life will go down by 1. And you go. And that's how it works. So I did add in a couple more ability changes as well. So as always, the warrior did have his shield, which blocks all the bullets. However, I did make the warrior push back a little bit when he gets hit by the bullets, and I did make one more major change. Before, the warrior was able to charge in with his shield up. Now when his shield is up, his movement is actually significantly slowed, so he's not so able to just charge in and rush the mage. The warrior does have a straight up speed increase, although at other times, speed buff, so that is beneficial. The mage also does not have an infinite shield anymore. The mage can put up so the warrior can hurt the mage with a slash, or the mage can put up a shield, which now makes it so he can't take damage. But the shield only lasts 3 seconds and then has a 10-second cooldown, so it doesn't matter how much I spam C right now, that shield will not come up until 10 seconds has passed, and that was 10 seconds. Okay, so that's the basic pages, so I'm just going to go ahead and kill the warrior now, so you can see the new win screen. So when a player dies, another player of course wins, and it goes to the win screen. In a second here, and there it is. So the match is over, comes out to the win screen, and the player now gets a choice between either doing a rematch or returning to the start screen. Rematch would basically load up the same map with the same characters and you just play again. I'm going to return to the start screen now. Go to the start screen, choose 1v1 again, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick mage versus mage. This is the funnest matchup. I think it's really cool. This is the other map that I have picked. They have these cool slidey ramps. They're a little buggy, but the cool sliding fashion of it all kind of actually made gameplay kind of fun, sort of like a, oh my god, go, 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 go type of thing. So I left it. Here's what's cool, because it's mage versus mage, they both have frostbolts, so I added in special animations. I should scale this up. I added in special animations for like if 2 frostbolts hit each other, like this, which creates this cool sort of collision in the middle, some sort of Harry Potter stuff or something, I don't know. Anyway, so that's that. However, And as I said, the game doesn't really look like there's that much, but what really made the big difference was how I rebuilt everything and then programmed in all of the stuff to follow through. So when you get to the player select screen, I'm just going to go through some of the scripts now. And these were the major changes that took a long time to implement, but it's been implemented in such a way that it is completely scalable. Like I said, adding a third character in is basically as easy as just adding a third character select screen. It really is that simple. So basically what happens is you've got your player selections, where what this does is when a player selects a character, a map, or from what controls they pick those characters, those selections are saved on a game object which is carried through the game at all times. And then depending on what stage of the game you're going into, say the map, or say a map or character selection screen or mode screen, it's always there. And then those options are loaded in the map manager. So when the map does load up, it takes the options from player selection screen and then filters them down. This is essential for the goal I was trying to achieve, which is so that your controls do not have to change just because you want to play a different character. In order to make this possible, it was imperative for me to actually instantiate my classes into the game. They can't be pre-existing in the map. I need to be able to spawn them and instantiate them in there. And so I had to instantiate them with the proper player headings and player information every single time. I have achieved that now, and the game is completely scalable. Honestly, I wish I didn't leave myself such small amounts of time, because if I just had like 2 or 3 more days, I feel like I could really expand the hell out of this game with tons of abilities that are just completely scaled perfectly. And that is essentially the walkthrough. It ends here because this is where most of it was founded. I've got my scenes, my clips. It's all very organized now. I've got my prefabs, where you showed me how to do that actually. My tons of scripts. It's all very heavily based on scripts. I have some trouble with the actual editor. I mostly like just coding it and watching the code come out. Every time I have to do something with the editor, like drag something into here and then put something into here, I never really know what the hell I'm doing. So yeah, so like when I instantiate the classes into the thing, because the classes weren't already there, it created an increased level of difficulty for the coding, because I would have to programmatically find the game objects in the scene, because the class object wasn't there to begin with. And you can't just drag a prefab into a prefab, because that doesn't work. So essentially a lot of the time I had to say find in scene by name or by class or by type or by child. Anyway, I learned how to do all of that, created this game. I think it's pretty cool. I hope you enjoyed it as much as you enjoyed the other one. Seriously, try Mage. It's pretty fun. Mage Warrior is kind of fun too, but it's you know, it's still got that little bit of a balance issue back and forth. It's funny, you said the Mage was actually OP. That was probably because of the shield though. Now the Warrior is OP. The Warrior just moves in with the shield and it just crushes the Mage. So it's a pretty funny contrast between the two. Warrior is still really buggy. Truth be told. Other bugs in the game would be that the character gets stuck on platforms. Yeah, not sure why that happens, to be honest. I made the grounded hitbox on the feet very small. The player's hitbox should hit the platform before the grounded on the feet does, but it doesn't really seem to work that way. Essentially, I feel like a change to that would just be changing the actual mesh of the platforms. Instead of making them actual bricks, make them just like tops of bricks, and then allow the player to pass from underneath or from the side of the platforms. Again, analogous to Super Smash Bros. But that's how it is implemented right now. Anyway, I also have the video on player credit. What the hell was it called? It's something to do with someone else testing my thing. I guess I didn't go through this, but yeah, I think I covered everything here. Yeah, whatever. Okay, anyway, thank you again, Eduardo, and happy marking? I don't know. Okay, have a good one. What the...